I hit my first $100,000 month 30 days after reading this book right here. And I've been an avid reader since the age of 15, reading about a book a week on and off. And usually I'll get one good nugget of value or a few decent ideas. However, this is the only book I've read where from the front cover all the way to the back, it is jam-packed with actionable value and strategies you can actually use to grow your business. And this is more important than ever today because the people that actually run this space, like Iman Gadzhi and Alex Ramosi, have read this book and implement the strategies. And when you actually consume it, you will feel like you are Neo in the Matrix, seeing all the green code as you watch the absolute best marketers in the world making millions of dollars have all their strategies unveiled right in front of your eyes. And this is more important than ever right now because the online space is like the Wild West. You've got a new person every week, maybe like I am right now, sharing their new strategy and new way of doing things, but the tried and true principles that are going to work, whether it was 5 years ago or whether it's 5 years in the future, are all inside this book. I'm going to break down exactly how it helped me, and then also you can implement it the same way that I did. So the book is called Expert Secrets, and it's by a man named Russell Brunson here, who is the godfather of internet marketing and direct response, and his mentor Dan Henry, who was the godfather of direct response physical mail marketing, taught him all the strategies that he's going to actually share with you in this book here. When I first read this, my business was stuck at $10,000 to $20,000 a month, completely relying on the YouTube algorithm to actually grow. And what I did at that company was I helped people who were trying to start marketing agency businesses, and we had an info/coaching product to actually help them scale. And the reason why we were unable to actually grow is because we relied completely on the YouTube algorithm and all these strategies, and we thought that we needed more traffic to actually succeed. We tried paid ads, we tried Andrew Tate's short form affiliate strategy, we tried paid ads again, we paid the best content teams in the world and actually fired different content teams 7 different times before we just decided that we were dumb and we just had to learn the foundations of marketing. And this book absolutely delivered, because instead of just trying all the tactics like we were, when we learned the fundamental truths of how to position our offer, we did the exact same thing, if not less, except we saw ridiculous returns. The reason why this is important is because it's only natural for us to compare ourselves. We've got competitors in our market, we've got other people we see crushing it. Maybe even you're making comparison to me right now without watching. And one of the things that this book talks about in its initial concepts is how status plays a massive role in everything that we do as humans. When we are buying something, we are taking a decrease in status by letting money leave our pocket, hoping that we are going to get a result that is going to increase our status back. And why that's so important is because the strategies inside this book play along to this status concept by allowing you to step away completely from your competitors. Instead of trying to take up the market share, fight over it with them, or watch what they're doing and try and emulate or copy it, you will not need to do that anymore, because you'll have created yourself a complete blue ocean, a complete new opportunity. And what you're going to do is you're going to stay from your blue ocean over here, and you're going to fish and cast reels and bait into the red oceans where all your competitors are competing, and reel people to your new opportunity. So the people that you once thought were all these bad people stealing your business are now your best friends, because they're actually attracting and creating the demand for what you're now selling. The product you have falls under one of 3 categories. You're either selling to a health offer, a wealth offer, or a relationship offer. And the example it gives in this book, which is so important, is the company Gillette, which, if you don't know, is a razor company for shaving. When the question was asked, which of these 3 categories does Gillette fall under at a seminar, well, the common answer was it's a health product. You have to shave to stay in shape, all these things. However, the marketing expert at this seminar explained, no, it's a relationship offer. The reason we want to be clean shaven is so we can attract relationships into our life, whether platonic or romantic. And that is a huge shift, because if Gillette went after their entire consumer and actually tried to acquire customers by talking to a health angle, nobody would care. But they did relationship angles, and they showed men doing well in business and getting women, and because of that, it resonated, and therefore they can acquire customers. For our specific example, we, with our marketing agency product, were targeting the lowest demographic of our market. We were trying to help people who wanted to start an SMMA or social media marketing agency sign their first client. And the reason why this didn't work is because under the 3 categories of health, wealth, relationships, we were under the wealth category with a bunch of biz off offers, meaning that somebody could have started drop shipping, they could have started trading, they could have done done crypto, all these things, but they chose to start SMMA, and we were in the lowest common denominator of the brokest people in the market under that category. And because of that, no matter how hard we tried when selling a $100 product, there simply were not enough people that were actually willing to buy something and had enough pain for us to hit any big revenue numbers. So no matter whether we went the most viral in the world and even did similar to what Iman did in our space by bringing a whole bunch of new young guys in, we still wouldn't have gotten to the result that we actually wanted. So reading this book, we knew we needed to make a change. Instead of having our marketing targeted around the young kid trying to prove his parents wrong or to drop out of a school and really just make his stake and show that he's a real entrepreneur but really not, we instead decided to move a little bit more upmarket. And the offer that we were able to create off of this was scaling to $25,000 a month in 90 days, which absolutely resonated with this new caliber of person that we wanted to attract. Now, this person had already signed their first client, and we went very, very in depth, as this book mentions, into the psychographic perspective and the also demographic perspective of who this person is. Maybe they're a little bit older. They're not between the ages of 15 and 18 now. Maybe they're from 20 to 25. So they've got an initial footing set up. Maybe they already finished college or they already dropped out, so it's not really that relevant. And they've already been through those initial phases of starting up a business. They've went to the gym, they've meditated, they've journaled, they've proved to themselves that they have the baseline competencies as a human to take on responsibility instead of just getting a paycheck handed to them. So because of that, a lot of our marketing wouldn't function if we didn't already understand this and abide by it. So what we shifted it to was the new dream, which in our case scenario was the cars, it was the trips, it was the network. And when it came to the information that they wanted to consume, well, they, instead of watching Andrew Tate, were now watching Hormozi. They wanted more tactical, more logical things. And the angle that worked for us extremely well was what we like to call mathematically unreasonable not to. The actual system that we built was called an OKR. This is a kind of diagram that is called Objective Key Results, OKR, which is pretty much just breaking down scientifically what needs to happen in each aspect of the business to see success. And if we had showed this to the guys that wanted to sign their first client, they would have turned their nose up at this, say, no, that's not what I want, where they just want $2,000 a month or their first client, versus these new people that we were attracting. They thought this was the best thing since sliced bread because they took down all of these crazy business concepts to achieve this massive dream they set out for themselves in their head, and it's been condensed into numbers that make sense to hit. And because we landed that overall positioning of our offer, everything else we did was extremely simple. We ran a documentary series where we restarted a company the exact same way using our unreasonable not to scale methodology, scaled it to $20,000 cash collected in the first 2 weeks, and then another $20,000 in the 4 weeks after that. And because of that, we had got a lot of validity and proof that what we were actually teaching was good to go. From that point on, we posted 7 other YouTube videos covering this mathematical scaling strategy. And I kid you not, 100% organic. It was that simple for us to hit our first $100,000 a month right after reading this book here. So maybe you're like me, and when you hear somebody give you advice on the internet, you always want to go above and beyond. So if you just want to read this book, it will be able to give you the foundation for seeing success. However, I went from being a kid who could barely even talk on camera, I was super awkward, wasn't able to actually do anything, to now running YouTube and marketing as a full-time business for both myself and the clients that I actually work with. In order to do that, these were the main books that I read that allowed me to actually gain the knowledge and skill set to do this and scale to multi-7 figures. So of course, the most important book in doing this is Expert Secrets here. We're going to learn the fundamentals of what guys like Iman and Hormozi have based their entire companies off of. Even Alex Hormozi's book series was very similar to Russell Brunson's 3 books that he published here, or Iman's webinars that he runs, very similar to Russell Brunson's webinars that he even does to this very day. And really, if you combine that with books like Influence by Robert Cialdini here that cover pretty much the A to Z of what actually persuades a human, Propaganda, which is actually what I base my business off right now, where instead of becoming a typical content agency to help people, I studied propaganda and mass movements of the past to distill them into a strategy to convince people to buy from you for the good of the earth. Persuasion here, which is pretty much just a book that covers the theme of going ahead and understanding what convinces people, especially the silent things. For example, one of the studies that I ran on my YouTube channel is I tried the exact same video, exact same packaging, except in one of them I was wearing a simple sweater and I was wearing a baseball cap in addition to that. My hair was a little bit raggedy. The lighting wasn't that great. And then I tried a different one where I implemented all the concepts it talks about in this book to make myself an attractive character. I wore a shirt that fit me a little bit better. I had a light up here. I had a nicer camera. I had a mic, which you automatically assume gives me a little bit of authority. I had a nice desk showing and all these little status indicators, and it doubled my click-through rate. I went from having a 3% click-through rate on this given video to, after changing it to the exact same thumbnail, literally with just me looking like a different person, having it jump to a 6% click-through rate and gaining. So it is a massive, massive thing on just perception and how you present yourself as an attractive character, which Expert Secrets actually covers. And then finally, .com Secrets, which is the book that he actually wrote before Expert Secrets, which if you haven't run sales funnel before, and it's something that maybe you're new to in the online space, maybe you just have a Calendly description or having people message you on Instagram, which, just for context, I am not a fan of. I think a sales funnel is essential because you can have people buy from you while you sleep. And in addition to that, you can also leverage it out with a team. You can hire an email copywriter and really just build a legit business like the top guys in the space have been doing. And we just all kind of fall for the shiny objects of Typeforms, Calendly, Instagram, all this stuff. This book covers the fundamentals of all the kinds of sales funnels you can run, how they work, and then in addition, how to structure all the emails that you're going to send out in addition to that. Now, as you read these books, I do not recommend you just type out a flurry of notes and try and read them all in one go. Read them slowly and implement everything that you learn in the book into your business as you are reading them. The books by Russell Brunson are all sequential, meaning that if you implement it as you read it chapter by chapter, by the end of it, it will be like a Build-A-Bear, but for a business, build a business to have every single thing that it talks about now added to your company that you can use. And this has been the overall strategy, again, that took my company from doing $20,000 to hitting our first $100,000 month 30 days later, and me from being a ex-pro Fortnite player who's a little bit socially awkward and never done marketing before to now being able to say I do this at my full-time job and have been able to hit 7 figures in my company. Now, if you'd like to get my propaganda marketing black book where I cover the amalgamation of how to do all these strategies and scale, you can get the free guide in the description below. But other than that, I hope that the value you got from this video is worth the time that you spent, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.